Uh, so Jack was our second oldest child out of six. Um, Jack was a natural baseball player, although he did not like baseball that much. He was more interested in football and learning lacrosse, and he excelled as a young child playing sports, and it was really a thrill and fun to watch, and filled our hearts. All of our kids were good athletes, but Jack really tried extra hard. He was happy to practice. He was happy to keep his teammates motivated. He was a good teammate to have. He ended up being quarterback at North Atlanta and both the lacrosse and football captain. He would help recruit with the coaches and get players to come out and try out for sports. Everybody seemed to like him. He didn't meet anybody that he didn't instantly become friends with.
Jack had a big heart, big personality, loved his friends, loved his brothers and sisters, all about family, loved to eat. That was a big deal for him. Anytime he had his meal, it was a big production. Loved Mexican food. Taxco is his favorite. Straight A student, really put his heart into schoolwork. That was really important to him to make good grades, and he did, straight A's. He was just a great friend, son, and brother to Pano, Lucas, Jamie, Anna, Kate, and Sophia.
Jack then left high school, went to the University of Georgia on the Zell Miller Scholarship. He joined the SAE fraternity. He was able to travel to Europe one summer. He came back and became the pledge trainer for the pledge class just below him. 10 days before Jack died, I went up to Athens, was able to take him to dinner at a restaurant called The Globe, and we sat down together, and he began to tell me about his future plans, what was going to happen after college, what internships did he want to do. And he had great goals. He had a great group of friends around him, and I was excited and looking forward to watching him grow. We went and saw a band that night at the Georgia Theater called The Fix from London. We had a great time together. We walked back to the SA house together. I took my last photo with him that night. Ten days later, he was coming home for Thanksgiving.
We were talking about Thanksgiving plans for the next morning, so all the kids knew, and Thanksgiving was Jack's favorite holiday. So he was really looking forward to it. He loved all the food and being with family. So that night, we have all the kids' locations on our phone, and I always just, throughout the night, I wake up and just double check and make sure everybody's safe at home, where they're supposed to be, and saw that everybody was home but Jack. But I did notice that he was just right around the corner at his good friend's house spending the night. So when we woke up the next morning, we're all getting ready for Thanksgiving, and Mike was calling Jack, and he wasn't answering, which was normal because Jack was a deep sleeper. He loved to sleep. And so Mike called the parents and reached out to them, and they said they had just left, and they had just checked on the boys, and they were still sleeping, but just to come on over. Front door was unlocked. They had gone to the park.
So I went in the house, front door was unlocked, and I went upstairs to find Jack and to wake him up. And I went up to wake him up, and as I tried to wake him, I noticed he wasn't breathing. I immediately put Jack on the floor, drug him off the bed onto the floor, started yelling at his friend to call 911 and began CPR. That lasted anywhere around 30 minutes or so, and I was too late.
It's a phone call that I just can't get out of my head, because he was just screaming, "Jack's gone, Jack's gone." And not knowing what in the world he was talking about, I ran and got in my car and rushed over. And when I walked into the house, I looked up and I could see Jack on the floor. And the EMT had gotten there and they were working on him. And Mike came down the stairs, absolutely distraught and crushed. And it was just such a surreal experience. It was so real, but in our minds we were saying this couldn't be happening. There's just no way. And so our kids came over, and it was just gut-wrenching to see our children go through that. Some were screaming, some were falling down. It was absolutely horrific. One of the worst days, absolute worst day of our life. There's nothing that could top having your child die and having your family and children go through something like this. The EMT worked on him for about an hour, and they came down the stairs, and one of the ladies that was the EMT worker saw me, and I just looked at her in shock and disbelief that there's no way. And she looked at me and she said, "I'm a mom, and I'm so sorry." And she gave me a big hug.
We didn't know what it was at first. We had no idea. My mind was spinning, wondering if it was, a heart condition or some unknown health condition. And of course, as we dug into what had happened, we were able to figure out that Jack and his friends had bought some illegal drugs. And it appears that Jack took what he thought was a Xanax pill. It was a fake Xanax pill laced with fentanyl. He stopped breathing from the fentanyl. I'd heard of and seen fentanyl used from work with anesthesia. I know it was very much a controlled amount that was given, and I also heard of fentanyl being used in patches in micrograms, which is a very small amount. I had no idea actually that fentanyl was being placed in fake pills and powders. I knew that people would seek fentanyl that were drug addicts, but I didn't know that it was being placed in drugs to kind of give them extra potency. So we didn't find out that it was fentanyl until the toxicology and the autopsy reports, and really just opened up a whole new world of education for us about the dangers of fentanyl.
So after we found out that it was fentanyl that killed Jack, it was obviously devastating, and we knew we needed to research and get information about this deadly drug and start educating people about it, because we had no idea. And it just so happened a friend of mine who's on the Sandy Springs Council, not far from here, had a community event on the dangers of drugs and especially fentanyl. And she called me. This was just 2 months after Jack died, and said, "Can you please go and share Jack's story?" And I didn't hesitate for a minute, because I knew that this was an opportunity that I could get out and hopefully save a life by sharing Jack's story. And from there, everything took off. We got calls from churches, from schools to go and share this information. And we started doing that. And I knew that I couldn't sit around. I had to turn our pain into purpose. And it has taken off from there.
So from Angela's talk, we felt that we needed to keep going, and obviously already saved some lives and wanted to share the word and save more and educate. So we started a foundation in Jack's honor, the Jack O'Kelly Foundation. The mission statement of the Jack O'Kelly Foundation is to spread education and awareness about the dangers of fentanyl in the United States. Fentanyl's being placed in illegal fake pills, powders, other types of drugs. We want to share that education through college-age students, high school students, sports teams, clubs, activities of any type, sororities, fraternities, and create a platform where people will take a pledge not to do drugs.
Please talk about this with your friends, family, neighbors. We have to continue to keep talking about it. This is not just a one-time discussion. It has to be continuous. Talk to the younger kids. Educate them so that they know the facts and that they can make good decisions as they grow up and will be faced with experimentation with these drugs. Remember Jack. Remember Jack's story. Remember what this has done to our family, how horrific it has been. And
now that you're educated, you know more than most of your friends that aren't here today or in this program. So you have a little bit of a duty there now to go out and help spread the message about these dangers.
Jack was very proud to be an SAE here at Georgia. While he got rushed by other fraternities, he always knew that this was the one that he was going to fit in best with. He's a third generation SAE, and he was very proud that he was going to carry on that line of his father and his grandfather and his uncle.
My first encounter with Jack was actually at orientation when I was up in Athens in June. And we actually met in a dining hall in between sessions at orientation. And he was just a big, energetic guy. Lots of people surrounding around him, and I was drawn there myself.
He was one of the biggest Dogs fans we had in the house and in the fraternity, and debatably maybe on campus. He was always the first one to get up, whether it was a noon game, a 3:30 game, 7:30 game. He'd be up at 6 a.m. fully dressed with his jersey on. And then he would come knocking on all of our doors, making sure that we would get up and get dressed and get excited for the game, turn some music on. And I haven't seen a Georgia fan like that since.
So Jack and I are from the same hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. I actually met him in the 3rd grade. We were on the same Pee Wee football team. And he was always a guy, I wasn't very good, and he was always the guy that would, bring you up. If I got flattened on a play, playing nose guard, he was the first guy to pick you up by your shoulder pads, dust you off, make sure you knew the play for the next go round.
He wanted to look after others. He didn't care about himself. He more cared that everybody else in the room was okay. He was a guy that was always wanting to check on you. When we lived in the SAE house together, he would knock on my door, sit down with me, ask me if I'm okay, how I'm doing. When I think about Jack O'Kelly's relationship to drugs and alcohol, I don't see him any different than any other regular college student. He didn't have a problem by any means. However, one night over the holidays, Jack and some of his buddies decided that they wanted to experiment. But today, there is no experimenting. It's gambling with life and death.
So I heard the news about Jack's passing. It was Thanksgiving morning, and I just, same old routine. I just showered, put on my dress clothes, ready to head to my grandparents' house for lunch with the family, and got that phone call as I was walking out of the door. It's just something that totally crushes you and that you would never expect, let alone on Thanksgiving morning. It puts a nail in your whole day. And my first thought was just, to call my friends and, did they know what happened? There's that period of time where there's a little bit of uncertainty, where you don't know what happened. There's a million rumors swirling around your network of people and your friends, but it's just surreal is really the only way to put it. You could never expect that something like that would happen. And especially, when it's someone who had, such a big influence and impact and personality and was such a big part of your life that you had lived with for 12 months, basically. It's just really hard to believe.
When I found out that Jack had passed, and especially how he had passed, it was devastating. I initially didn't know how to react, but I was also then in a position where I had to juggle my own feelings and had to deal with the passing of one of my close friends. And then I'd also just undertaken the role of being the president of our fraternity. And I had to find a way to lead us through this tragedy.
So coming back to Athens, we knew that we needed to do something to address this issue. And for us, that started with education, being a leader in the fraternity system, and hearing what other groups do on campus. You start to understand that telling a bunch of young people what not to do usually results in exactly what you don't want to happen.
We decided that our goal really should be to educate them on the dangers themselves, but also make sure that they understand that you have to be prepared and then how to actually respond in the event that something like that were to happen.
Our mission and vision at Take the Pledge stands on 3 pillars. It's always remember the pain of a life lost to drugs, confront a friend, and save a life one pill can kill.
So once we conceptualized our mission and vision, the next thing we did was get actual boots on the ground. We had groups of guys going to different fraternities, sororities, organizations all around campus and explaining how to be prepared, signs to look for, how to respond, and how to save a life.
After a couple weeks, the vision really expanded into seeing, we can take this wherever we need to go, and it needs to go places. There are students all around the country, close to here in the SEC and nationally, that are faced with the same problem. It's not something unique to us. So we saw an opportunity to really spread it across the country.
So since Take the Pledge started last year, one of our biggest focuses has been keeping it going. My job has been to expand it outside of the parameters it's already been in. And my goal is that it keeps going to where if I come back in 20 years and Georgia's beating the crap out of some team on Saturday afternoon, I see those purple bands in Sanford Stadium. I see them walking around campus. I see them on not just people my age, but people in the younger generations. So that way Jack's death doesn't just go in vain, but people actually learn from what happened and don't make the same mistake again.
Take the Pledge is really based around this purple wristband. It has our 3 pillars of always remember, confront a friend, and save a life, which are really important things. And it's a great reminder to look down on and see on your wrist all the time. But seeing that purple wristband around campus really should point out to you that you have brothers, you have sisters, you have peers that are a part of this movement. Take the Pledge is on your campus, and it's something you should be proud of.
So I believe one of the main difficulties is in combating this fentanyl crisis is the peer pressure. As a college student, it's a time where people have a lot of fun. There's a lot going on and people are moving really fast, and peer pressure is something that is very difficult as a young man or woman to deal with. But I believe the Take the Pledge initiative is unique in regards to the fact that you can lean on each other. You can use each other to hold each other accountable. And if you look left and right in the room today, you can take the pledge with your friend And that's how you hold each other accountable and overcome that peer pressure.
In the world that we live in today, the scene with drugs is just not what it used to be. And every time you make that conscious decision to take a pill or, do some substance, whatever it might be, you're flirting with life and death. It could be, one of the last decisions that you make. And that's something that people are gonna have to juggle with every time they make that decision. If you're looking for Take the Pledge, you'll find a lot of guys going around campus, sitting in chapter rooms on Mondays and Tuesday nights, giving our Take the Pledge presentation, educating the young men of other fraternities about the dangers of fentanyl and drug use, and passing out wristbands. You'll see these wristbands all around campus, and it's a real instigator to ask the question, what's that about? Why are all of you guys wearing them? In addition to that, seeing these new members coming in with Rush in the fall and Rush in the spring, being able to give them the presentation, educating them about the dangers of fentanyl, with 4 years of a lot of decisions that they're gonna have to make. So that's where you'll find Take the Pledge on the ground.
22 high school and college-age students are dying each week. I'm Armando Roche, and in my 34 years of fighting drug crime, I've never seen anything take lives this fast. Not heroin, not crack, not meth. Fentanyl is changing everything. The fentanyl crisis is unlike anything we've faced before. It's not just dangerous, it's redefining what risk even means. Start with the basics. Drug cartels are not in the business of health. They're in the business of profit. And fentanyl, it's their golden ticket. It's cheap, it's easy to make, and it's dangerously powerful. Dealers use fentanyl as a cutting agent, a cheap way to increase the volume of their expensive supply while making the drug more addictive. Fentanyl is being used to cut everything: meth, cocaine, counterfeit pills, even so-called party drugs. It's not about getting the dose right. It's about making the product stronger, more addictive, and cheaper to produce. That means more volume, more demand, more death. And here's the terrifying part. The pills look real, identical to what a doctor might prescribe. But they're made by dealers, not pharmacists. Often, they'll have the real brand logo stamped onto the fake pills. Cartels don't care who gets hurt. Their goal is to keep users coming back. And fentanyl guarantees that for the few who survive. In fact, fentanyl has now replaced heroin as one of the top drug threats in the United States. Unlike heroin, which takes years of cultivation and chemistry, fentanyl can be made in a basic lab by someone with almost no training. The chemicals are shipped from China to Mexico, where cartel labs mix it, press it into pills, and smuggle it across the border. And then hits our communities. Here's what you need to understand. Fentanyl is not being taken intentionally by most of the people who die from it. They think they're taking something else, maybe something they've taken before. But the drugs they're using are laced with fentanyl, often in lethal amounts. One night, one line, one pill, and they never wake up, just like Jack. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine, 50 times stronger than heroin. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of 2 grains of rice, is enough to kill the average person. Put it into perspective, just 1 kilogram of fentanyl, about the size of a brick, can kill 500,000 people. And the danger is only growing. In 2024 alone, 112,000 people in the United States died from overdoses. 75% of those overdoses were fentanyl overdoses. It's enough people to fill the University of Michigan football stadium. Every single seat. It's now the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. Think about that. More than car crashes, more than cancer, more than suicide. This crisis is especially dangerous for young adults because so many of the drugs being sold on the street or through social media are counterfeit. Pills that look like Xanax, Adderall, or Percocet are often fake. And DEA lab tests show that 5 of the 10 of those pills contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. And here's what makes it worse. There's no consistency. Some pills are weaker, some pills are deadly. It's Russian roulette with every single dose. You never know which one you're getting. We're also seeing other substances added, like xylazine, or tranq as it's called on the street. It's a powerful veterinary tranquilizer. It's not an opioid, so naloxone or Narcan won't save you. It causes severe wounds and often leads to amputation or death. Yet it's being mixed into cocaine, meth, and pills to increase the sedative effect. Here's the bottom line. Experimenting used to be casual. Today, it's a game of Russian roulette. You don't know what's in the pill. And the people making it don't care. They're not trying to help you. They're trying to hook you. Every time you consume a drug from the street, you're gambling with your life. So please, don't wait until it hits close to home. This isn't a just say no campaign. It's a life or death reality. Our goal isn't to scare you. It's to equip you. Save a life. One pill can kill. Know how to help. Simply by listening to this message, you're taking one step in the right direction. You're choosing to be informed. You're choosing to be aware. And that choice could make all the difference. For you, for someone you care about, or even for someone you've never met. Thank you for choosing to be part of the solution. Together, we can save lives.
Thank you for watching and listening. You've just heard from some people who knew and loved Jack, from his family, his fraternity brothers, and also from an expert who sees this crisis up close every day. You've heard the truth about fentanyl, about loss, and about how easily a life can be taken. If you're feeling the weight of that, good. That means you're listening. That means you care. Simply by being here, you're already a part of the solution. By choosing awareness over ignorance, action over silence. Now, I want to invite you to take the next step. What comes next is a live presentation led by the leaders of your chapter. A chance to hear from members of your own organization, reflect, and stand together in taking the pledge to protect a life. Please listen closely, ask questions, reflect. And when the moment comes, take the pledge. Take the pledge for Jack and for the ones who love you. Thank you for honoring Jack's story and helping to end this epidemic.